these Dallas Cowboys. We are on to our 32 and 31, the ninth team. We're covering all 32 teams in 31 days, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to the show. Shout out to the Wrench Gang. Shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe. Click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. We'll be covering these Dallas Cowboys along with every other team once the NFL season starts. Monday, Thursday, Sunday, football all day. So make sure you do lock it in. So yeah, we got a lot to discuss tonight with Dak Prescott and company. The question of the day is, do you believe in Dak Prescott? Do you think that he's the one that can take this franchise to the promised land? People have been hoping, people have been waiting to see it. And unfortunately, he just has not been able to deliver for a multitude of reasons. Now, I'm not going to beat up on Dak Prescott. I'm lying. I'm going to beat the hell out of Dak Prescott because he needs it. And I'm sure that someone's going to be mad at me, but some of you will understand where I'm coming from when we get into this conversation. So with that said, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show. All right, so Dallas Cowboys. It's almost like every year when you hear the phrase, this is our year, it's almost like the Dallas Cowboys have trademarked it, copyrighted it, whatever you want to call it. And at some point during the season, you think that they have. At some point during the season, you sit there and you say, wow, they're actually going to do it. And then reality starts to kick in, and that little voice in the back of your head tells you, nah, Dak's going to screw it all up in the end. And we see it time and time and time and time again. And I'm going to start this by saying that, yes, Dak Prescott is a great quarterback. I know some of you hate him, some of you love him. But when you look at the stats and when you look at Dak Prescott on paper, he is a great quarterback. And unfortunately, to me, he's a great quarterback who just can't find the will to win in these significant moments. Because I feel like if he was able to be that quarterback, then obviously I wouldn't be saying anything that I'm saying right now. And you most likely as a fan wouldn't be feeling how you feel right now. So we're going to dig into these stats. We're going to dig into the schedule, all that good stuff, give our predictions, and see what you guys have to say. Shout out to Cat Daddy. What up, yo? Ryan in the house. What up, Ryan? Let's go, bro. Megan in the house. Marble Sky in the building says, I've been waiting for the Cowboys. I got you, bro. I got you. Dak is just, I don't know. I don't think he can get it done, and I'm sorry. Well, let's get into these stats. Let's do it. So, Mr. Dak Prescott, 4,516 yards. He averaged 7.7, 410 completions on 590 attempts, 69.5% completion percentage. His long was 92, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 39 sacks. I mean, you can't really be mad at the guy, right? On paper, he's done exactly what you'd want him to do. And unfortunately, like I said, it's on paper. It doesn't translate to the postseason. It doesn't translate to those significant moments when he has to go out there and find the will to win. And, you know, you could look at a lot of quarterbacks that are great on paper who just obviously can't get the job done. You know, I don't want to go down this road, but I got to go down the road. I mean, Lamar Jackson, right? Justin Herbert, Jalen Hurts. You know, they have great stats on paper, but they just can't seal the deal. Josh Allen, yeah, I got to throw him in the pot too because, yeah, everything's good on paper. You put up the touchdowns. You've gotten better with, your interceptions. You've, gotten better with getting out of the pocket and becoming a playmaker. But unfortunately, you just have not been able to find the true will to win when it matters the most. Because, sure, you can have a great regular season. You could break all these stats and have all these records for your team and do all this and do that. And when it comes down to the significant moment and a playoff implication, or if it comes down to a significant moment in the postseason and it comes down to a specific moment in the divisionals and in a championship, you decide to choke. And everything that you did up to that point doesn't matter anymore. So sure, you'll do enough to get a big contract and your agent's going to fight for you and you're going to make sure you get all the money you can. But are you able to seal the deal? And that's the biggest problem that we see out of Dak Prescott. And it's unfortunate because you expect him to do better. He's not only had the team to do better, but they've had the chemistry. He's had some of the best case scenarios that you'd want your superstar quarterback to have. And unfortunately, he couldn't seal on the deal. But we're going to break this thing all the way down. And we'll go from there. Shout out to you, Shantae. What up, yo? What's going on with you? Philly in the house. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into the stats as far as, on the rushing side. Tony Pollard, 252 carries, 1,000 yards. His long was 31. The average was 4. He had 6 touchdowns. He had a fumble. Is that exactly what you want out of your running back? I guess you could say he did fairly well. But I think when you have someone like Tony Pollard, who essentially became your workhorse after Ezekiel Elliott's gone, which he's now back, which is crazy. But he becomes that individual. So you expect him to step up. You expect him to do more. You expect to see more production out of him as far as scoring. And yeah, you can blame a lot on that on the offensive coordinator and McCarthy, obviously, for, the issues and, the decision-making there. But someone has to step up. Someone has to actually be the individual to take the bull by the horns and deliver. And we've got to find that individual, right? Is Zeke coming back, Dave? Shout out to you, bro. Is Zeke coming back? Is he going to be that individual that's going to be able to take these Cowboys over the hump? Hell no. Come on now. I'll give you this. We know that Zeke is very talented, but he's now at the point in his career and the age where he's going to start to slow down. So, unfortunately, I do think him coming back, is him just being a role player, not that superstar that we once knew and loved. And, obviously you got Dotto. Now, I do like Dotto, great power running. He's not going to get you those, super big gains, but he will break for that first down, get you over that hump that you need in like a third down situation. So, yeah. When you look at on the rushing side of things, they have some quality there, but it's not screaming to me, superstar and someone that, or the defense that should be scared of down the road when it matters the most. So, yeah, you have to focus on Dak Prescott's arm. You have to focus on him moving the ball with his arm because, unfortunately, the running game really just isn't at 100% or at the level that you'd want it to be, which brings us to the passing. Right, let's get into the passing, the receiving rather. CeeDee Lamb. There is absolutely nothing I can say about CeeDee Lamb that's bad. The man has 135 receptions on 181 targets, 1,749 yards. His average is 13, 12 touchdowns. His long was 92. He's averaging 102 yards a game. It's absolutely amazing. There is completely nothing that we can say wrong about CeeDee Lamb. The man's phenomenal. To me, yeah, if you had to put some kind of ranking or tiers on it, you've got CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson kind of battling it out neck and neck right now. After that, you got Ferguson, right? He had 71 receptions on 102 targets, 761 yards, 5 touchdowns. Long was 40. Average was 10. Then you got Cooks, right? Cooks came over, and I think Cooks was supposed to be another individual that was going to balance this wide receiver group out. And, I get the relationship between CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. He's kind of his well, so he's going to keep going back to it as much as he can because that's something that he built up. But I think Cooks was kind of like an afterthought for him, right? And the talent that Cooks have, I think, definitely went overlooked. He was 54 of 81, 657 yards. He had 8 touchdowns. His long was 37. And he was averaging 12.2. So, there's no reason why Ferguson is getting more targets than someone who is averaging more yards than him. I'm just saying. And also who has more touchdowns than him. But like I said, there's a lot of decision making when it comes to the coaching and things like that. There's a lot of decision making in regards to, who they want to feed and who the ball's going to go to. And that does change the game. That does change the dynamic as far as how a team's going to operate and how good they're actually going to be going up against the competition. Now, there's 2 sides to that coin, though, because, yes, there were moments where the Cowboys looked very good from an offensive standpoint. But when you go back and you look at some of the tape and you look at some of these games where they were kind of close or they really had a shot at winning, you've seen a team that kind of fell apart at the last second. And, yeah, you got to put all that on Dak Prescott because he's the one that's supposed to put the ball in these individuals' hands. And he's supposed to go through his progressions and find the right individual who's going to make the best play possible. And that's what we've seen over the years. That's what we've seen over the years. Shout out to you, Shante. What up, yo? Dave says Zeke is ready to eat. Father Pimp Time says Colts all the way. We'll see, man. Crumble Cookies. What's up, yo? Long time no see. Says Cowboys will go 11-6 and lose the Bucks in the wild card. We ain't there yet. We got to get to the predictions momentarily. Minner C says this is all on coaching. This is a team sport. Dak doesn't run the defense. I agree. We ain't got to the defense yet. I agree. It's not all on Dak. Like I said, I was going to beat up on him a little bit, but it's not completely on Dak. You're absolutely right. Right now, we're talking about the stuff that is on Dak, right? The close games, the not having the focus, the being pressured, and kind of just having that deer in the headlights look. We've seen it multiple times. Do you know how many times we've streamed or I've streamed this game with you, their games with you guys, and I'm sitting there on the edge of my seat and we're going back and forth and we're yelling and we're having a good time, and then it becomes a close game and I got to watch the Cowboys come down in the last 2 minutes and we're hoping for it. We're sitting there watching and I'm sitting there on the low like, all right, Dak, let's see what you got. And I'm thinking that in my head as I'm calling the game. And then he completely lets us down, or something crazy happens. There's a ridiculous penalty, and it's going to be on Dallas, and that's a whole nother story. But you get what I'm saying. These are the problems that Dak Prescott is going to have to overcome, that he is going to have to figure out how to get through, these kind of adversities so he can become a championship winner. We understand Dak's a winner, yes, and we appreciate his talent. But there's a difference between just having talent and actually being a winner. And I think that's where the issue is coming for him this year. Is he going to be that individual who is going to get over that hump so that he can take this team to a Super Bowl? Because that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. But let's keep it going. Obviously on defense, right? Clark, Bell, Wilson. Yeah, Clark with 70 tackles, 60 for Bell, 55 for Wilson. Curse at 48, 1.5 sacks. Micah Parsons, right? This is the individual that is the heartbeat of this defense. 36 solos, 28 assists, 14 sacks, 115, 18. When you look at the 14 sacks there, it's like, okay. And we understood that this defense was one of the most dominant last year. And then something happened. Somewhere the kink in the armor was broken. Somewhere the focus was missing. And things changed. And yeah, you can look at the injuries and you can look at, how things like that play out. But who's going to step up? Like I said, who's going to be that next man up when it matters the most? One individual will change things. I get it. But one individual shouldn't cause the whole train to crash. Because all that means is you rely too heavily on one individual. And obviously, as a coach, you haven't picked up anybody on the second end to pick up the slack. And I think that's very important. I think that's really something you got to look at and understand when it comes down to it. Because at the end of the day, the Dallas Cowboys had the highest percentage last year, starting off up to I think week 5, week 6 of going to the Super Bowl for the NFC. Shout out to you, Ernie. What up, yo? What's going on with you? Dave says Micah needs to stop skipping leg day. Yo. Ernie says Dak is going to have that Dak moment. He's going to give you the game. Shante says, and then he blows it. And that's what we're talking about, right? That's what we're talking about, even though we're on the defense now. Derpy says Jerry Jones is the problem. Thank me later. That's a whole another topic, another conversation that we get into. Jerry Jones has to have his hand in it all. And that definitely plays a big part into the success of the team, for sure. Ernie says if he doesn't make it this year, he might be changing unis. You might be right. You might be right. I mean, listen, we know that the Cowboys fans have a short memory, right? They'll go through the motions. They'll be upset. They'll be mad. They'll be burning the jerseys. They'll be smashing the TVs. And then they'll go out and buy another TV and buy another jersey come season time. And it'll be their year again. And that's where we are right now, right? The TVs are getting bought. The jerseys are getting bought. Tickets are being bought up. And they're getting ready for this year. So, let's... We've seen it almost every year for a while now. Shout out to Jeff King in the building. Let's go, bro. Says we'll have a great season until the playoffs, and they will shit the bed as usual. Unbelievable. All that high-priced talent. Can't do shit with it. Mind blowing. Jeff King, you already know, bro. Me and you have our conversations, and we obviously talk a lot about the Bills, but, we watch these Cowboys almost as much as the Bills, especially, when we're streaming these games. And so we see it. You don't have to be a Cowboys fan to really see what's going on with this team and this franchise and, how they just continuously drop the ball. And to be honest, just like I told you guys last year, I would have loved to have seen a Bills and Cowboys Super Bowl. That would have been absolutely amazing. And, it almost feels like the people and the fans are being robbed. And that's the truth. The Dallas Cowboys fans are being robbed of a Super Bowl because of decision making and I want to say coaching and just a team who can't pull it together when it matters the most. That's the reality of it. 100%. Shout out to you, Tadigo. What up, yo? Tadigo says the belief in Dak in the poll is unreal. Good evening, Jay. Shout out to you, bro. Dave says I don't break TVs or burn jerseys. I talk shit to the Eagles fans. Been with him last year. Hurt last year. Other guys picked it up, and now another year plus Diggs should be interesting. Like I said, we get the injuries. We understand the injuries, right? Every team has dealt with them. Every team goes through them. There's going to be injuries next year. This is no surprise. This is no, there's an injury. Oh, it's going to ruin us. No. The personnel, your GM, your coach, the owner, the roster, 52, right? All these guys on this team have to contribute some way, somehow. So if one individual gets injured, just like I said, that should not derail the train. Who is going to step up? Who is next up? Who did you pick in the draft? Who did you trade for? Who did you get off free agency that is going to make a difference if your superstar goes down? Because, yes, we'll talk about the Diggs and, the Gilmores and the Micah Parsons and all that. Well, okay, Bland's going to step up too. Curse is going to step up too. Lawrence is going to step up too. But who else is behind them? And I think that's the question coming into, the injury problems. And that's for every team. It's insane. It's very insane. Shout out to the Miz, says, laugh out loud. Do you think they offer insurance on TVs to Cowboys fans when they buy them? Could you imagine? Y'all got me on my jokes now. When you go to Best Buy or any one of those stores and you buy a TV and they give you their protection plan and all that. I wonder in Dallas, they don't even offer it. They just check you out for your TV and send you on your way. They don't even mention the protection plan. It's like what they're doing to the homeowners right now, getting rid of the home insurance. Is like, nah, we're not going to offer TV insurance anymore. Not in Dallas. All right, let me get back to it because I know somebody's hot right now. Shout out to you, Forrest Green. What up, yo? Ernie says, for what it costs to get into that stadium, you got to give them something. Yeah, and, like I said, I do feel like the Cowboys fans are being robbed because at the end of the day, you've watched this team and you've went through the motions and you've been sold that they're going to get it together. You've been sold that they have the best talent to get the job done. And then something weird happens. You've went through the roller coaster. You're so excited. You're fired up. You got your jersey on. You're ready to go. And then the postseason happens. The Cowboys have a great record. And in your stomach, you have that feeling of knowing what's going to happen. That feeling of knowing what's going to happen is why the Cowboys lose in the postseason. That exact feeling. Because as the fans, you're not the only one that has it. I am sure that the players themselves have that same feeling. I am sure that Jerry Jones is up there in that box and he has that same feeling in his stomach. And you can see it in his face when it happens. It's unreal. It's absolutely unreal. Well, before we get to the schedule, we're going to go ahead and get to this depth chart. We're going to get to this depth chart and then go over what's going on now. So obviously we've got Dak Prescott, followed by Trey Lance and Cooper Rush. I like Cooper Rush. He showed up when Dak went down, and then obviously, Dak came back. Trey Lance coming over from the 49ers. I mean, I'm not really sure what he's going to do. And that's just that. I think the big thing about the Cowboys right now is Ezekiel Elliott coming back. Why? I mean, why would you do this? Unless you're expecting Ezekiel Elliott to have the same kind of focus and energy and be able to ball out and eat, right? The way that we know that he did in the past, it doesn't make sense to me. Do I see it happening? We'll see. Obviously, you got Rico in the second, Deuce Vaughn in the third, and then Royce Freeman in the fourth. And then, of course, your wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Brooks, Racey McMath, David Durden, Brandon Cooks, followed by Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Moreno-Cropper, Cam Johnson, and then Jalen Tolbert, Ryan Flournoy, Tyrone Billy Johnson, Corey Crooms Jr. So, yeah, I mean, we know already what to expect out of CeeDee Lamb. I would like to see more production out of Brandon Cooks for sure. I think he was underutilized last year for the talent that he can display and the speed that he has on that field. Jalen Tolbert did great as well. I think he just needs more touches to the ball. Obviously, we know Jake Ferguson is going to step up for, this team in a strong way as being their tight end. But then you also got, Luke Schoonmaker, Peyton Hendershot, and Brevin Spann there. So, yeah, once again, you've got kind of the trio, right? Dak, Ezekiel, and CD. And then you've got Cooks, Tolbert, Ferguson, which, I'm sure Dak at this point has built up the chemistry with those guys. Can Dak do what he needs to do with these individuals this year to get to the Super Bowl? And I hate to be the one to say this to you, but I think the competition is really high. I think the changes and everything that's going on this year is going to shake up a lot of things. And if Dak Prescott is going to be the man for the job, right? Not just the man in stats, not just the man on paper, but the man to get this team to the Super Bowl, he's going to have to change his mindset completely. He's going to have to go out there and own this team. If you look back over the years, I don't think that anyone, including Jerry Jones himself or McCarthy, has a comfort level of telling you that Dak Prescott owns this team. And I'm not talking about from a monetary standpoint or a true ownership, but what I mean is owns the locker room, has the best chemistry with this team possible, and has an offensive line that is willing to put it all on the line for him, all on the table, all the chips, no matter the cost, so that they can get to a Super Bowl. I don't think he has that. And I think that's a big part of it too, because that goes into the confidence level. That goes into your ability to command, and command a win. Your ability to get this team in a position to go out there and actually be a championship team. You have to have them behind you. And I don't think Dak has them behind him. I'm not saying they don't play well for the man, but I don't think he has that true chemistry with this team for them to be at the level they need to be. That's a part of it too. And that's why you see him sometimes in these critical moments where he's looking like he just lost his dog, or he just lost his best friend, or he just lost his woman, because that's how he looks at some of these points. You're down by 2 points. It's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It's 3rd and 13. Dak Prescott makes that face, and you know the face I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. It's the face of defeat, and you're only down 2, and you've got time left, and it's 3rd and long. You see it in his face, you feel it in your stomach, and you know what's coming. And then that's when he throws a pick. And it's really unfortunate because you can predict it. Shout out to you, Priscilla. What up, yo? How you doing tonight? Priscilla in the building. Michael says, can't win the Super Bowl in Madden. Jeff King says he ain't going to do shit besides ride the contract out and say peace to the boys. Y'all on one tonight. Y'all on tonight. I'm just keeping it real from what I see and what I've experienced, because I've spent a whole lot of time. I don't care about, I'm a name drop. I don't care about the mad Cowboys fans. I'm the mad Cowboy fan, the angry Cowboy fan. I don't care about Law and the Cowboy Nation. I'm telling y'all from what I've seen, I put in just as many hours as y'all have. Just as many hours of y'all have when it comes to these Cowboys. I done seen these games. I done spent the hours streaming and going through the motions and the roller coaster that y'all done went through. Yes. So I'm more than qualified to have this discussion right now for sure. So, yeah. Do I think Dak has promise? Sure. But until he finds a way to become a winner, not just in the regular season, he's setting up the Cowboys and the Cowboys fans for another season of heartbreak, unfortunately. We haven't got to the schedule yet. We'll get to the schedule momentarily. But I'm just going to go back through the depth chart here, and we'll get to the defense. So as far as the offensive line, you've got Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, Brock Hoffman, Zach Martin, Terrence Steele. And then, of course, for your defense, DeMarcus Lawrence, Chauncey Golston, Osa Iggy Dezua, Micah Parsons, Damone Clark, Eric Hendricks, Marist Liefeld, Deron Bland, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, Trevon Diggs, and Jordan Lewis. So, yeah, I think next season we will see a strong Cowboys defense for the most part. The roadblock is going to be, okay, can they stay injury-free? Can they stay focused? Can they maintain some consistency? Can they maintain momentum? And will Dak Prescott be able to utilize that in his advantage? Can you put up the points needed to stay ahead? Can you put up the points needed when it's a close game? Can you reward this defense with them getting you the ball back? I think a lot of that is going to be on Dak Prescott, and I think that's where we're actually going to see if he can get over that hump of being a winner. That's the reality of it. The NFC is different from the AFC. For those who don't know, it's very different. You got a lot of different competition, right? You've got the Eagles when they get it together, right? You got the 49ers. There's a lot of competition there, and these guys aren't going down easy. So Dak Prescott is going to have to become the one in the NFC if he's going to have a real chance and a real shot at beating these teams that know what to expect from the Cowboys, that know exactly how the Cowboys are going to play, what their defense is going to do. Something has to change. And it starts with the coaching. It starts with the offensive coordinator. And then it begins with Dak Prescott. And that's the reality of it. Special teams going to be Brandon Aubrey, Brian Anger, Kavontae Turpin, and then Trent Sieg is your long snapper. And then let's go and get into the schedule, right? You guys know how I do. I start with the last season. We'll chop this up. As for the regular season, started off with the blowout victory against the Giants, 40-0. Followed up with a great win against the Jets, 30-10. Loss to the Cardinals, 28-16. Won against New England, 38-3. Then you ran into that big wall, that brick wall, and lost to the 49ers, 42-10. You won against the Chargers, 20-17. That was a close victory, right? Next was the Rams. You won 43-20, but then you ran into Philly, 28-23. Next after that was the Giants, 49-17. Panthers, 33-10. Commanders, 45-10. Seahawks, 41-35. Then you came back and you beat Philly 33-10. Then you took an L in Buffalo. You took an L in Miami. You beat Detroit Lions, and that was very controversial. You know that. That was a controversial game. You won by 1 point, 20-19. And then you beat the Commanders 38-10. So you can say, all right, Dak Prescott showed his will in this game, but that 20-19 win against the Lions is very debatable. I think the significant games from last year was most likely your Eagles, the bounce back game. I mean, do we really count Seattle? You let Seattle put up 35 points with your defense. Luckily, their defense played like shit. So, yeah, you were able to put up 41. The Commanders was a broken team last year. Panthers was a developing team last year. The Giants were the Giants. Obviously, you know, the Rams, Matt Stafford's coming down. He's not playing at his best. So what did you really do last year? What did you really do? And then obviously you get to the postseason and you lose to Green Bay. Jordan Love, 48-32. Your defense let them put up almost 50 of 50 piece in the postseason. And Dak Prescott has 403 yards and puts up 32 points. It's absolutely insane to me. It's absolutely insane to me. So this is why we have the conversations that we do. This is why the fans are angry. This is why everybody says, yeah, Dak's going to show up on paper, but when it comes down to it and it matters the most, he's going to choke. Because there's no way that even if your defense has allowed 48 points, with 403 yards, you're supposed to match them touchdown for touchdown. in the postseason, because this is when it matters the most. Just for Green Bay to go on and lose. You let Green Bay put up almost 50 just for them to go on and lose. Just looking at this stressed me out. I'm being real with y'all. It stressed me out. Wow. So how does this translate to next year? Because really, I mean, much hasn't changed with the Cowboys. Obviously, they picked up some people. Obviously, some people coming back from injury. But, what's really going to change with the Cowboys? Because it's not like the personnel you picked up is going to change the game that much. The real question is right now is the mentality, the spirit, the fight, the Cowboys as an organization changing things around so they can go into next year and be America's team. Because right now, I don't really see people saying the America's team too much. They just call them the Dallas Cowboys. I think the America's team has been reserved for somebody else. They starting to call the Chiefs America's team, which is insane. But y'all got to get that title back. Y'all have to show these people what the star means. I remember a point in time where teams actually feared the Dallas Cowboys. Now it's just the Cowboys. It is what it is. They gonna get beat. It's insane. It's insane. Let me hop into these comments and then we'll get to the schedule and our predictions for next season. Shout out to Dave. Says the Eagles is like a version of Jersey Shore, but on the team. Not Jersey Shore, yo. Jeff King says, the Eagles got their shit together. They really got it together. Really got it together. Shout out to Barry White. My darling, I can't get enough. Shante, yes, very controversial, 100%. For those who watched that game with the Lions and those who really, really went back and looked at everything that happened, you know that game was highly controversial. And that's just how things go. Shout out to Marvel says Cowboys, I hate to say it, didn't really do anything last season. And that's the reality of it, right? When you look at the schedule from last season and you look at the points that they put up against certain teams and you look up the points that that the other team scored against them, you start to look at, all right, well, that dominant defense really didn't do shit. Because the only teams that they truly, truly dominated were bad teams. And then when it came down to the 49ers, when it came down to Philly, when it came down to Miami, when it came down to the Ravens, the teams that you need to beat to really prove yourself, you didn't do a damn thing. And then we heard all the excuses and this, that, and the third. Listen, as they say, you're only as good as your last game. But can this year be different? Can the football gods rain down on Dallas and get this team in order so they can actually be a true contender? Because I'll tell you this, I want to see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Just like I want to see the Bills in the Super Bowl. I want to see a rematch of that 90s experience. That's what I want back. I want to see that happen. I want to see the 90s experience, the rematch. So can the Cowboys make it happen? Let's get into the schedule. All right. First up is going to be the Browns. Now, obviously, we did the Browns last night. We talked about Deshaun Watson and company and everything that is going on with those guys, injuries, coming back, trials and tribulation, adversity, all that kind of stuff. I did say that I think this is going to be a strong defensive battle, and I still stand on that. And I'm leaning more towards the Browns in this one. But I do think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a close game. I don't think anyone's going to get blown out. It's going to come down to the wire, but I'm leaning more towards the Browns. As for the Saints, I mean, if the Cowboys are playing their game and if the defense is clicking, no problems there, this should be, I'm not going to say an easy win, but it should be a win. It should be a win for the Saints or for the Cowboys. I see you, Cat Daddy, trying to start me up. You ain't gonna rattle me. Not tonight. Next after that's going to be Baltimore, right? We know Baltimore's made some changes, but also, I think the biggest thing that hurt them is obviously the issues with the O-line right now, right? It's a younger O-line, so you're hoping that they're able to get things together before the season starts and have things worked out, but that may not play in their favor. And I do think that, you've got Derrick Henry, but if this Dallas defense can stop him, that's going to become real problems for Lamar Jackson to get around as well. Yeah, this could be, a good victory for the Cowboys, and this could be one of those situations where the Cowboys can set the tone if they beat a team like the Ravens early on. Quick shout out to George. George coming through with the $2 super chat. Let's go. Shout out to you, George. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the $2 super chat donation, my friend. Next after that is going to be the Giants. Now, I mean, like I told you before, I'm not rocking with the Giants right now. They've got to make some significant changes. Brian Dable, I'm sad for you, man. I really am. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know how you guys are going to figure it out. I don't think Daniel Jones is the answer. Tyrod Taylor's on his last leg. It's just a lot that went on with that team. And unfortunately, I just don't think the Giants are really, really going to be able to do much. And so we may see another repeat of what happened last year. Cowboys blow out the Giants. Coming into Pittsburgh, right? So they'll be in Pittsburgh going up against Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. We'll see how that goes. That could be, something that's very interesting because I think you don't really know what to expect from the Steelers. They could be very surprising considering that you have two different quarterbacks who can create a different dynamic if needed on the fly if Tomlin decides to play it that way. And, that could be troublesome for the Cowboys if they don't get an early lead. But I'll be honest with you, even because of that fact, that may be another reason why the Steelers do lose this game because they really don't have the quarterback situation figured out. And, Russell Wilson might not truly be up to par against a dominant defense for the Cowboys. I'm going to ride with the Cowboys there. This next game, week 6, this is going to be the banger. You're going to have the Lions going to Dallas in what I would consider one of the games that we need to see because that last Lions and Cowboys game was super controversial, and there's going to be some bad blood. There is going to be some bad blood for sure. This is going to be a good one. When I think about what the Lions did, and I think about, Gibbs and Laporta and, just that whole team and the defense, Hutchinson, all these guys balling out, you've really got your hands full trying to game plan against Detroit. Now, on the flip side, you're going to Dallas, right? You're playing in that dome, and if you're not playing on your A game as Jared Goff, the Cowboys defense can make you pay. So, I think this will be a true test of both quarterbacks. I think this will be another defensive battle, and I think this may be a low-scoring game because of that. But I will lean more towards the Lions because I feel like the only reason why the Cowboys lost that last game last year, and it was super controversial, go back and look at it, was because of the refs. I'm just calling it how I see it. I think the Lions will take this one as some form of payback coming up this year. Obviously, week 7 is going to be the Cowboys bye week, followed up with the 49ers. Now, we know that the 49ers smoked the Cowboys. And granted, there were some injuries involved and things like that, but hey, from a defensive perspective, you got to figure out how to put the clamps on Brock Purdy. And then obviously from an offensive perspective, you have to learn how to keep up with the 49ers. The 49ers are going to score. So if you can't stop them from scoring, well, your offense has to become offensively dominant. You got to keep going. You got to match the pace. And if the Cowboys let this game get out of hand pretty fast, then obviously they'll take another loss to the 49ers. Which I'm going to lean to those 49ers there because I do think that, they just have a complete team, dominant. They're focused. They're hard to beat when they get going. And I think the 49ers are definitely going to have a good year next year as well. Follow with Atlanta, right? Kirk Cousins going over to Atlanta. I think this would be, one that you really don't know what to expect because Atlanta's different now, right? Cousins is over there. The whole game is going to change. He's got Drake London. We'll see if he can utilize him. But also I just don't know if I really trust Atlanta going up against a team like Dallas. It's going to be a tough feat for them to win. So even though they're going to be at home, I'm going to side with Dallas on this one and give them the victory there. Then I think you get you get another test, right? Another test with Philly. I think this is another one of those important games. And to me, this is where we're going to see whether or not Dak Prescott is going to have that focus this year, have that resolve this year to overcome these big moments. You've got Philly coming to your house. Can you beat them? Can you actually allow your defense to not only have to rely on your offense, but they may not be able to stop the tush push. So once again, you may have to match the Eagles and their pace and keep continuously scoring. And that's going to fall into the lap of the running game with Ezekiel Elliott now. That's going to fall in the lap of CeeDee Lamb now. They're going to need major production out of those guys offensively to keep up. And I will say that I do think they'll do it because I think Jalen Hurts coming into next season is going to be, not a shell of himself, but I think he's going to lose a step coming into next season. And I think the Eagles are going to have a hard time. So I'm going to give the Cowboys that one. Now, the next one, Week 11 against the Texans, I think this will be a good one. You got C.J. Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell. You got a lot of new energy. You got C.J. Stroud, who's hungry. And, you got Houston coming into your town. This is going to be a Monday night game. All eyes on Dak and CJ. I think this is going to be a good one. This is the makings of a great, great Monday night for sure. And we're definitely going to stream it, so I'm excited for it. But I just think as far as, with this Houston team, you do have a younger, hungrier team. The defense is strong. Obviously, we know both teams made it to the postseason, but I do think that Houston did a little bit better, so they're going to be fighting harder this year. I'm going to lean more towards Houston, and I think this may be one of those games where we might be surprised. CJ might pull it out the bag because the kid's balling right now. Followed up, Week 12 is going to be against the Commanders. I've been telling you guys for the last 9 days since we started this. I'm not sure if the Commanders are really going to have much going on, so I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the Cowboys for sure. They'll rematch the Giants. They'll blow them out again. But then we'll get into the Bengals, right? We know the Bengals, a huge question mark for Joe Burrow and him coming back off of the injuries and things like that. Is this going to be the year where he gets over that hump? That's going to be the biggest thing. And that's really the, only question mark that I do see with the Bengals. If Joe Burrow's at 100%, I think he'll give Dallas hell. And I think it will be, a Bengals victory. But if we do see, some shakiness and Joe Burrow, if we do see him come out there and he's favoring that leg or he's playing a little gingerly, then I definitely think the Cowboys will just steamroll the Bengals and that'll just be it. So I really think this game depends on the mindset and the physical capability of Joe Burrow and where he's at for Week 14 in the season. After that's going to be the Panthers. I mean, I've already said what I had to say about the Panthers. And for those who don't know, I had people actually messaging me in the inbox telling me that I was terrible because, I said that I didn't think Bryce Young was going to have another good year because he was still developing. Hey, that's fine. If you mad at me because I said that, that's cool. I have to base my opinion on what I think upon what I see and history. And unfortunately, I don't think Bryce Young is ready. So that's just that. So I'm going to give the Cowboys that one for sure. Baker Mayfield, he has some way of really surprising with this Buccaneers team. As soon as you think you have him figured out and he does something that surprises you and he makes it a close game and Tampa Bay can figure out a way to win. Shout out to Todd Bowles. This could be a good one. It could be a surprising one. But just from the defense and the offense and, everything that Dallas has, this should be a victory for the Cowboys. I'm leaning more towards the Cowboys on that one. Week 17, they'll obviously repeat with the Eagles. They may swap. I mean, I'm assuming Week 17 is going to have some playoff implications, so it's going to be all chips on the table, all in, and this could be a complete toss-up depending on who wants it more. And then obviously Week 18, they'll face the Commanders again. And same thing, I'm just not sure as far as what the Commanders are going to do. So I'm going to ride with the Cowboys. And that is the schedule, ladies and gentlemen. That's the schedule. Like I said, I like it. I don't think there's too much, craziness as far as a super challenging or difficult schedule for the Cowboys to overcome, because everything I look at here is definitely doable with the talent they have. There's no reason why Dak Prescott can't play efficient football. There's no reason why Dak Prescott can't find the will to win. He has to just basically have the mentality for it going into this season. He needs to be ready. He needs to have his team ready, and he needs to learn how to control the game. And that's the reality of it. That's the reality of it. Shout out to you, Jeff King says, push it real good. Shout out to Selena in the building. What up, Selena? Says, the way I see it, all the teams are a threat to my boys. A lot of work and focus needs to be solid. That's a fact. Like I said, if I'm betting my money on the Cowboys right now, I'm saying that, yeah, they have a great regular season, and then they get into the postseason and they choke. And if you bet that over the last 4 or 5 years, guess what? You made money. It's just the reality of it. I want it to be wrong. I want them to go far. I want Dak to have an exceptional year. But we've seen, and as we know, history repeats itself, we've seen how this has went. And it's been really unfortunate because we expect better out of this team that has been so dominant up until a point, but just couldn't keep it all together. Brian says, Dak reminds me of Joe Biden. Let's see. I like it. Oh, Brian, you're killing me, bro. Lisa says, I remember Roger Staubach in the 70s and Danny White. Let's go. Shout out to you, Lisa. Bringing back the old school. I see the Buccaneers winning this game. Listen, it's quite possible. Like I said, the Baker Mayfield, he's kind of shifty. He's sneaky sometimes. He'll pull out a win when you least expect it. And it'll be one of those wild things where he just goes on a run and starts tearing things up, and you can't stop the guy. So it could be a surprise, but on paper, right, because this is an on-paper discussion, Cowboys should win it. They should win it. Cat Daddy says 11-7. Okay, I'm not mad at it. Shout out to Amanda Bama. Says the Cowgirls are going to get their butts kicked by the Kansas City Chiefs. Go Chiefs. Well, they're not playing the Chiefs in the regular season, but they they might play them in the they might play them in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's the only way it might happen. But as far as your preseason, before we wrap this up, preseason, you got the Rams, then you got the Raiders, and you got the Chargers. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll get to see Lance play, and we'll see what he's got for this team, if he obviously needs to step up at some point. And that'll be good to see. That'll be good to see for sure. So, I'll hop into this chat with you guys. We got about another 5 more minutes before I wrap this up. But let's get back to the question in the poll. Do you believe in Dak Prescott? And 60% of you said no. 60% of you said no. That breaks my heart a little bit. I thought some of y'all really believed in this man, the way y'all fight for him and the way y'all cape for Dak Prescott. Wow. 60%. Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to be the other side of the coin. I think Dak Prescott is going to find himself this year. I think he'll maintain the consistency of the stats and everything. But I think there's going to be a couple of games where it really, really matters the most, and we may see that change in him in next season. I'm not saying it's going to happen in postseason, but I would like to see him in those big moments really go out there and win, opposed to letting someone else take it over, like a ref or a running back or something crazy happening with the defense, and they just magically get the win. So I'm hoping that's what I see. Hopefully the Cowboys fans, they get something out of next year, because we see it every year. We know what to expect. In fact, I dropped a video about it, and every time the Cowboys lose, that video gets views. So, but hey, there it is. I think the Cowboys should have a good regular season. It all just boils down what they're going to do in the postseason, without a doubt. And that's it, everybody. Shout out to Shantae. Says Dak has had too many chances. He's had a lot. He's had a lot for sure. That is for sure. With that said, everybody, I want to wish the Wrench Gang as well as the family a great evening. Much love to all the listeners and watchers. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Tomorrow, this will be day 10 of our 32 and 31 of covering all 32 teams in the month of July. We're still going at it, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking football in the month of July, getting ready for the preseason. Obviously, I will be streaming the preseason as well as the regular season, so you don't have to go anywhere. Make sure you lock it in with your boy Jay. Hit that subscribe button. I do appreciate you all. Have yourself a great evening, and I will see you all tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Keep it locked.